Give me joy in my heart. Give me serve, serve, serve. Give me joy in my heart. I pray. Give me love in my heart. Keep me serving, serving, serving. Keep me serving till the break of day. Sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna to the King of Kings. Sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna, sing Hosanna to the King.
I love that, and it truly aligns with our celebration as we come into this first Sunday of November. I am so grateful to be back from my vacation, and I really had rest and renewal, and I just love this community. And for this first Sunday, in this time of our faculty of letting go and elimination, our ability to release, Reverend Maggie and I have a talk here on ready, set, release.
It's a really good time of year to prepare ourselves for what's coming up, right? We talked about this earlier in the week, how I really appreciate the starting line of what I'm ready to let go of being all the way back here in November, and a great time of preparation and contemplation as we reflect at what might be chokeholding our next layer of highest good, and where we're going and how we want to show up in the world. And we do that when we get to our burning bowl and white stone ceremony at the start of the year. So Ready, Set, Release is a great time to really get your mind in gear and feel into all of those things that you are ready to let go of.
Precisely. And our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, in writing about this faculty of release, writes this wonderful, it's a easy way to metaphor and look at how we can do this for ourselves, because we certainly get choked by some of the stuff that we just hold on to. Mm-hmm. He says, as children outgrow their clothes, we outgrow our ideals and ambitions, broadening our horizon of life as we advance. There must be a constant elimination of the old to keep pace with this growth. When we cling to our old ideals, we hinder our advance or stop it altogether. Mm-hmm. This is so profound. We often, let me start off again by saying, I often forget how important it is for me to set down all the stuff I'm carrying. Mm-hmm. One thing I noticed from taking 2 weeks off, and my goal was to not talk about unity, not to think about unity, to really let go. And do you know how hard that is for a minister to do? But it's so important, because how can I renew myself? How can I be open to new ideas if I'm not letting go, setting aside what's already happened, what's already done, what's not? If I hold on to everything, it's just that choked by clutter.
Right. And Americans are really funny about releasing things. I think we have an attachment to one of our favorite feelings of guilt. So I feel guilty about letting things go that once served me. And especially, there are things that are, material objects, for sure. Something that I just had to have, or a job that I just had to have, or a relationship that was wonderful and served my individual growth. I wasn't a child forever. Those were relationships and roles that we need to slough off and allow for new growth. I love that the French have a term called mesui, and it's the feeling of outgrowingness and without guilt. So when you've accomplished, you've reached for, you've acquired the dream that you set your sights on for so long, it was the motivation, and you get there and it's great, and then the process starts all over again. It's not well, you should feel guilty and awful and take an inventory of all the things. It's miss we and move on. And I love that. I love that reminder that it's not a need or a call for me to feel guilty. It's an opportunity for me to count my blessings and all of the contributions that I've had that have fully enriched my life. And when I'm ready to move on, I say thank you and not worry my mind and my gut over the guilt and sadness, and those feelings come along with us naturally. But for me, for us, for you to grow, you've got to empty your pockets and have room for new stuff and treasures to come along with us. I really appreciate this analogy because it simplifies it. So great for me. And Mandy Hale, who is an American author, and she's also an influencer. She's got a ton of information out on the internet. She's got 500,000 followers on Twitter. And when I was looking around for wisdom on release to share, came across this, where she says, when you release expectations, you are free to enjoy things for what they are, instead of what you think they should be. Now, I feel like Mandy was speaking to my inner control freak. I mean, it's a superpower of mine to want to really feel like I am steeped in the illusion that I'm controlling all the things that are going on around me. And when I am in that process, in that train of mind, I tend to fast forward to what should have been or what could be, or I'm rewinding the tape in the background, right? I'm saying like, oh, if only I'd done, or if I'd remembered this or said that or not gone, and I'm not experiencing just the joy of the now. And it's ironic because as a Unity minister, we are teaching to be in the present moment each and every day, full of knowing that we are in the right place at the right time. There is no such thing as lack. We're experiencing an abundance of wealth, health, and well-being wherever we are and however that shows up. And it's the trick of the mind to try and want to jump forward or go back instead of just releasing that control, releasing that worry, and finding peace in exactly where we are and exactly what is in each now moment. And the good thing is those now moments just keep on keeping on, don't they?
They sure do. I love this because how powerful our expectations are. Mm-hmm. I can get so wrapped up in what I'm expecting that I'm not living in the moment. Mm-hmm. I'm living in the anticipation of how it's going to be. And what I find is that reality doesn't always look like how I painted it to be, mm-hmm. which I also have the superpower of control. And I realize that my control is something I need to release because ultimately my control is so mini mm-hmm. when there's a creator of the universe that's working through me to manifest the life that I live. Mm-hmm. And so when I can let go of my beliefs, my expectations, my assumptions, I then begin the process of the ready, set. Mm-hmm. So our title, Ready, Set, Release, there's things that we need to do to come into being ready. That requires us to, get good rest, mm-hmm. to eat well, to exercise, to not be alone, be connected. And then when we're ready, then we're set. We set an intention mm-hmm. every day. We don't get to set it and then for the rest of our lives we're free of all control, all expectation. We're always in the flow. Although maybe that's a possibility, I'm not there yet. And so I choose every day. And by that, it brings me to the now moment where I can let go. I can let go and let God. Mm-hmm. Mandy Hale continues to talk here and says, when you let go, something magical happens. You give God room to work. And isn't that really what we talk about almost every Sunday? Is that it's ours to find our way, to get ready, to get set, and open ourselves to that divine inspiration, to the divine classroom, to what am I carrying around that I don't need to carry anymore? I've discovered that if something's so precious to me that I constantly have a little attachment to it, what I need to do is like take a picture of it and let go of it. So I can always go back to the picture and I go, oh, I used to have that. I used to be so attached to that. But I've let it go, which frees me. Every time we let go of a little more, we have a little more space, a little more freedom to move, a little more time to discern what's next. And that's where the magic happens, because we're open and we're available.
Right. I love that. And I love that she uses the word magic, because it is a superpower of mine to worry something absolutely to death. My dad says to me, I chew gum, like the worry in my head is like chewing gum till there's no flavor left in it. And then I keep chewing the gum hoping the flavor's going to come back and I can start all over. So I am so focused on something that I often forget the goodness, forget the awesome things that show up, the experiences that come into my life, the people that show up, the doors that open, the instant prosperity that shows up in my mailbox. I mean, it's just over and over again that I am reminded that this is a two-step, that we are co-creators with God. And if you've ever tried to dance with someone who is also hell-bent in leading while you're leading, you get nowhere. You get a whole lot of stutter starts, and we're choking each other out on the dance floor. But when I remember that I have just declared whatever I want to bring into my life, it is already done. Now I need to open my arms wide and allow for God to lead, because I said yes. And I am just going in the flow and allowing the magic to happen. And then when it shows up, I am always in awe, because it's 100 times better than I, in my very small, independent way, was trying to create something. It's always magnificent, magical, if you will. And I just love what we have from Dr. Steve Maraboli, who is an American author and a motivational speaker. I don't know why my brain was not holding on to that term today. But he says that letting go isn't about having the courage to release the past. It's about having the wisdom to embrace the present. Now, when I was 12 years old, I wanted K-Swiss tennis shoes so badly. And I have small feet, but I had somehow convinced my mother that I was going to fit into these K-Swiss shoes and I was going to wear them until the stitching just came apart on these suckers. Well, we didn't have a lot of money growing up, and my mom made a great sacrifice buying K-Swiss sneakers. That's aging me. And my foot grew. I loved them and I wore them comfortably for about 2 weeks, and then my foot grew. And I wouldn't tell my mom. I didn't want to tell her. I walked around with scrunched toes, uncomfortable, because I didn't want to embrace now what was. When I finally got the courage to tell her that my feet really hurt, that I couldn't wear these anymore, she was like, great, I know exactly who needs these shoes, and I got a coupon, and I'm ready to go and buy you some more shoes because I made more money teaching my night class than I expected. So you see how fear is going to keep us living small. and uncomfortable. And we all know that feeling. We know when we're not living in the full embrace of our truth, when we're not living into the allness of what we are capable of. Everything starts to feel small. Everything feels tight, and we simply need to step out with courage, knowing that we aren't leaving anything behind that was of value. There is all the wisdom and the love and the courage and the generosity and all the things that we need to move forward are right here within us. And we can always tap into that whenever we need to, in prayer, in meditation, in reaching out to another face of God when we're in doubt or in fear. But we always have the ability to let go and move with ease and grace and comfort into where we are meant to be next. Wouldn't you agree?
I do. And I love what Dr. Steve says here, because it does take courage to release the past. Some of us, I can get all caught up in how important it used to be. You know, the good old days.
Way back when.
Or, when everybody liked me. But we can reflect, and we can also color our past and think it was a whole lot better.
Oh, yeah.
And it's much more important. It is important to release the past, but that's not the most important, because we need to have our wits about us to embrace what is, from the way life is, from the way I'm fitting in the shoes. Because life brings us life. And when we argue with life, or when we resist stepping into now because, I don't know what's going to happen. No, we don't always know what's going to happen. But we do have within us that faculty of wisdom to discern how we're going to embrace now. And then how we're going to embrace now. And how we're going to embrace now. And this is what we do to get ready, set, and release. That's really the prelude. Ready, set, release. Now it begins. Now we have life. Right. Now we're one with God, listening to wisdom and guidance. We've cleared the path. We're ready to go.
That's right.
And that's powerful. And so in conclusion for this talk, we turn to this powerful wisdom by Jack Kornfield. Now, Jack Kornfield is an author. He's a great teacher of meditation. He teaches Buddhism. He's a Buddhist, and he's written a powerful book about Buddha. And he says this: in the end, these things matter most. How well did you love? How fully did you live? And how deeply did you let go? Because I know that life brings all kinds of experiences. And certainly this year with COVID and the election and racial issues, there's so much happening. Life is just full. And we can't allow the stuff to get in the way of our being present. Feeling our feelings to completion. If we're sad, let's cry our tears of sadness. If we're joyful, let's infuse our cells of our being with our joy. Because it is an issue of how well do we love ourselves? How well are we loving others? How well are we choosing to live our life the way we're going to live our life? By letting go of what doesn't work for us. By releasing what has been, and open us to this moment that's rich in possibility. And I think that's a good place to start November 1st. As the trees are saying, okay, we're going to let go of these leaves, they have, what a wonderful expression. We could just look outside and go, how easy is it to let go? Oh, well, it just goes with the wind.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really do appreciate the reminders of these questions. And they all equate back to letting go for me. How well do I love? I love well on my own. I love better when I'm not holding on to expectations and judgment of my children, of my parents, of any circumstance and outcome. And when I recognize that I can love myself more fully, it's because I recognize that I am doing the very best I can in any given situation, in any given circumstance. I have my tools and I'm able to access them. And when I do that, I'm letting things go and I'm loving more fully. How fully do you live? Well, I live a lot of the time worrying. I'm wearing my worry beads out, wondering what if and what next and how come and what. All of that equals fear. So when I let go of fear, I am strapped into the roller coaster and I'm saying yes with, maybe there's butterflies. Maybe you're having a hard time taking a deep breath. But through those sips of air, we realize that we're in for the wild ride regardless of whether we choose to enjoy it or not. We're giving room to God to do God's work. And now we're just along for the ride. So why not just live with abandon and be in joy and in love and laugh more freely and accept adventures as they come? That's my challenge. I want to strangle the fun out of things by trying to control and worry and pre-plan and have a contingency plan when that falls through. Instead of just saying, okay, God, I say yes. I say yes to whatever it is that you're asking me to do next. So I punch my ticket and get in this car and be ready to freely let go of those things that are going to strangle love from blooming, from excitement from blooming, from growth from happening. If I can manage to do those things, if I can manage to remind myself daily to love without judgment and to live without fear, then I think I'm winning at life. I think I'm winning the let go game. And I do appreciate having the opportunity to talk about the steps that go into it. Ready. I know it's not good anymore. This is not my highest good. I'm ready for something new. Set. I'm prayed up. I'm in the starting blocks. I say yes. And I recognize my co-creative power. And off to the races of release. God and I go.
Step out on the water, release your faith. Every step is stronger. Step out on the water.